second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. CPoe, and the topic is the Osama Bin Laden video cassette tape, a psycho-spiritual analysis. And of course, Dr. Poe, before we had our first commercial break, you were talking about the attack on America, September of 2001, September 11, 2001. Let's give you an opportunity now to talk about the video cassette tape itself, the tape that, for whatever reason, has been documented as perhaps a smoking gun for Mr. Bin Laden's attempt to undermine the American structure on September the 11th. Let's talk about it, the tape.
Let me just paint a little bit of a picture of the scene itself. Bin Laden walks into the room and he greets the sheikh, who is from Saudi Arabia, who has come to share with him, and also his spokesman is there. So the Saudi sheikh is in the front. He's a little bit to the left, and then his spokesman is a little bit to the left, okay? Let me just say that often as he listens to the Saudi sheikh, he occasionally will say, blessed be to Allah, okay, or praise be to Allah. And of course, we have to know that he agreed to this taping. Now, this taping most likely occurred after September 11th, and it occurred after he became aware of the fact that he's the object of a manhunt. And so I'm convinced he wanted this tape to be viewed by Americans and by as many people as possible. So what is his motive? I think his motive, partially, was to present the facade of being deeply religious, to being a devotee of the Islamic faith, all right? And I'm convinced that he is not. I don't believe that he represents Islam at all. I believe that he has a distorted view of Islam, and I believe that he's using Islam to further his own personal agenda, okay? And I believe, as I said earlier, that his personal agenda is greed for power and control and economic domination. And so here is a man, I believe, who from a psychiatric perspective I would label as severely antisocial, to the degree that I would refer to him as a sociopathic personality. Now, when I say that, I mean that he's the kind of person who will do anything to get what he wants, who is extremely determined to use people and anything else to get what he wants. And I think part of his strategy in coming off as being so deeply religious is that he wants to make it look as if his actions of September 11th was part of what's called a jihad meaning holy war. And of course, the presumption based on what we know about a jihad is that that everything that you do, or anybody who gets killed in the jihad was killed in a justifiable way. So I think Osama bin Laden wants to make it look as if that his actions was a part of a Muslim-backed jihad, and that the conflict here is really between the Muslim religion and Christianity, all right? So I think he would like to, in a sense, foment hostility between Islam and Christianity, when in actual fact, he is standing on the sideline attempting to benefit from such a conflict.
Excellent, excellent. So in a real sense, here's a man who is religious, but at the same time, he has a different agenda that does not include religion at all.
Right. Well, I'm not so sure I would say he's religious in the true sense of the word. I think he carries the label of being a Muslim. But I think that in reality, that he is using that label and attempting to use Islam to further his own personal agenda. So I really don't see him as truly religious, but essentially as a charlatan, as a manipulator, as a schemer, as a deceiver, as a man who is determined to do his own thing, and that's greed, to fulfill his greed for power and control.
Did you find any statements in the tape that you would like to elaborate upon that you felt that would sort of substantiate some of the points of views that you're talking about here, Dr. Poe?
Well, one in which he quotes the hateth verses, and basically what he says there is that persons who don't believe in Allah and who don't believe that Muhammad was his prophet should be fought against. And as a matter of fact, there's an article in January issue of Reader's Digest was entitled How We Grow Terrorists. And the article is written by Jeffrey Goldberg, who apparently is a staff writer for the New York Times. And he talks about his experiences in a school. Actually, it's a religious school in Pakistan that teaches young persons from age 8 to 35 about Islam. And at this school, he interviews the headmaster, and the headmaster, he says that there's a division that according to Islam, they divide people into the abode of peace, and that's represented by the Muslims all over the world, as opposed to the abode of war, and that's symbolized by the U.S. And so the assumption is those who are part of the Muslim religion are compelled to engage in jihad or into a holy war against those who are outside of the Islamic faith. Now that's his interpretation. I'm not so sure. I don't believe that that's true Islam. As a matter of fact, in the same article, he makes the point that true Islam is a religion of moderation and tolerance. So we're not hearing the teachings of true Islam when we listen to Osama Bin Laden.
And these are just some of the ravings in the real sense of a madman.
I think so.
In a real sense that has somehow captured the attention of the world now.
Yes, and I think partially what he's doing is he's exploiting a lot of the hostility and the hatred that exists towards the U.S., towards America, related, as I said earlier, to the way we have a tendency to treat people and to do business, all right? We are resented around the world now, to some extent, related to our affluence, okay, related to our military might, okay, but also related to our arrogance and our pride. And I think Osama bin Laden then is exploiting that hostility, all right, attempting to organize it in a way against us.
This is, Dr. Poe, I tell you, the very idea of the release of this tape seems to be an extraordinary thing to me in terms of what the government has done. I think it has given the whole world an opportunity to see for itself what Mr. Bin Laden has planned and what he is planning. But now he's on the run. I think since that tape has appeared, that the war in Afghanistan has reached a new level, and now he's on the run and he's in the caves and et cetera. And when we come back after this second commercial break, we're going to give you an opportunity to talk about what are some of the possibilities and what he might be doing now. And we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break.